Griffon Hovercraft Limited produces the largest range of hovercraft available in the world today. Powered by diesel engines, these unique amphibious craft cost much the same as conventional boats to run. And although it's not recommended for normal operations, Griffon hovercraft are capable of operating in gale force conditions. In confined inland waters, the control and maneuverability of these high-speed vessels speak for themselves. The smallest craft in the Griffon range is the 6-seat or half-ton payload Mini 500. Powered by a standard Volkswagen diesel engine and twin propellers, the hull and superstructure of the Mini 500 is manufactured entirely in fiber-reinforced plastics or composite material with Kevlar. All other Griffons are produced in a combination of aluminium alloy and composite material. The hulls are constructed in aluminium, and each vessel conforms to the exacting requirements of the British hovercraft safety regulations. Griffons have also been classified by the United States Coast Guard, the Canadian Coast Guard, and Lloyd's Register of Shipping. In general, the hulls are welded below the waterline and riveted and sealed above the waterline, and all craft contain at least 20 separate buoyancy compartments. The diesel engine is easily accessible, and for routine servicing, all machinery is ready to hand. Griffon Hovercraft's policy on construction is to use both aluminium and composite material where each is best suited. For instance, on the single-engine craft, the cabin roofs are made from composite material, whereas in the larger twin-engine craft, the roofs are aluminium. Composite material is used for the propeller ducts, the wheelhouse, and the gull wing doors. All Griffon hovercraft are basically simple in design, manufacture, and operation. For instance, there are no gearboxes on these craft, the transmission being linked to the propeller shaft via pulleys and a toothed belt. The skirt is made from a nylon neoprene material and consists of an upper loop and lower segments. These segments normally last for about 1,000 running hours, similar to the life of a car tire. If the skirt is accidentally damaged, repairs are usually carried out by using glue and patches, rather like mending a puncture. But improvisation, where necessary, can be just as effective. These skirt repairs are being carried out near the banks of the River Yangtze in China, where a team of doctors and nurses were involved in a program of vaccination for all children under the age of 5. Whilst these doctors were taking medical care to the people of Tibet in the remote upper reaches of the Yangtze, they took their mobile medical clinic on a journey to the very source of the world's third longest river. Using outdated maps and with the choice of several different tributaries to follow, the team came to rely upon their satellite navigation system aboard the hovercraft. The Griffon 2000 TDX became the very first vessel ever to navigate to the source of this great river. During the course of this historic journey, the team had to cope with many hazards, particularly rapids. At the last bridge crossing of the river, some 300 miles from its source, the Chinese army were keen to familiarize themselves with this high-speed amphibious craft, and they took more than a passing interest in its presence. Threading its way through parts of the glacier, the Griffon not only became the first craft ever to reach the source of the Yangtze, It also established a world altitude record for hovercraft operation at a height of over 5,000 meters, or 16,000 feet. For over 3 years now, Griffon hovercraft have been in operation in an even more remote and desolate location. The government of the United States of America purchased a Griffon to be used at its scientific base in McMurdo Sound on the ice shelf of Antarctica. This craft is used as a multi-purpose workboat on ice and snow, taxiing scientists from the airport, establishing fuel dumps for the helicopters, carrying out search and rescue missions, and taking scientists on their daily expeditions. Frequently working over 100 miles from its base, the Griffon often operates when helicopters are grounded, and it has proved invaluable for traversing crevasses and thin ice where no tracked vehicle can venture. Here, a group of scientists are diving to study the plankton life on the underside of the ice shelf. For their transportation, they rely totally on their Griffon hovercraft. Not all Griffons go to work in the world's most remote and hostile environments. In fact, most operate in either tropical or temperate climates. On the River Thames in London, for instance, a Griffon 2000 TD ferry service is run by a commercial company. In fact, these 3 Griffons are only running at about half their normal speed. This is because the catamaran from which they're being filmed, like all conventional boats and catamarans on the River Thames, has had to slow down because of the large wash or wake which it would produce at higher speeds. In complete contrast, Griffon hovercraft produce no wash at high speed and are the only craft allowed to operate at 35 knots continuously throughout the journey into central London. At the Down River terminal, the 2 craft on the left are seen floating like conventional boats, whereas the craft on the right is resting on a Griffon-designed hover-on, hover-off pontoon. At high tide, the Griffon 2000 TD lands and takes off from this pontoon, which is also its main servicing and maintenance base. Away from speed restrictions, it's interesting to compare the wash and noise levels of the filming craft with those of the Griffon at the same speed. At the upriver terminal, the Griffon comes alongside its jetty just like a boat. Being completely amphibious, the Griffon hovercraft can land at any small area of shore or riverbank. Recent analysis of this particular operation shows that 10,000 single journeys were completed during the previous 12 months, and that the craft had a mechanical reliability of 99.4%. Back at the Downriver terminal, with the tide now out, the Griffon comes alongside the pontoon. The second craft also demonstrates its precision of control. Learning to drive the Griffon hovercraft usually takes around 15 hours, about the same time as learning to drive a car. The steering yoke, which turns the rudders, is used like a car steering wheel, and the engine throttle and trim controls are handily placed adjacent to the driver's left side. Learning to service and maintain these craft also takes around 15 hours, and a good boat mechanic is the ideal candidate for the job. The interior of this London vessel is attractive and functional for a commercial ferry operation that frequently continues well into the night. The two largest craft in the current Griffon range, the 3000 TD and the 4000 TD, are powered by twin air-cooled Deutz diesel engines. These craft cruise with a full payload at about 35 knots. That's 40 miles or 65 kilometers per hour. At this speed, each engine uses only 10 gallons or 45 liters of diesel fuel an hour. This is approximately half the fuel consumption of a conventional boat of the same speed and payload. Whereas these craft are usually used for passenger ferry and tourist operations, the navies, armies and paramilitary forces of the world are showing increasing interest in hovercraft. The Royal Thai Navy already has 3 Griffons in operation, and the roles for which these unique high-speed amphibians are ideally suited include fast attack, amphibious assault, search and rescue, commando missions, and mine countermeasures. Since hovercraft produce no magnetic, acoustic or pressure signatures underwater, and since they're relatively unaffected by underwater explosions, the British Royal Navy has proved that they're particularly well suited to the mine countermeasures role. Large fleets of hovercraft already exist in the armies, navies and Marine Corps of the United States of America and Russia. In the ferry role, the Griffons are equipped with comfortable passenger seats and large panoramic windows. In this particular craft, there's air conditioning, a large luggage bay, a galley and a toilet. Virtually any task that a conventional boat will tackle can be equally well accomplished by a Griffon. But in addition, Griffons will operate where no boat can venture. Over land, shallow water, mudflats and swamp, ice and snow, and rapids. They're very fast and they're rugged. They've been tried and tested in the most remote and hostile environments on Earth. They have tens of thousands of operating hours behind them. The Griffon management team has been dedicated to the design, manufacture and operation of hovercraft for over 25 years. No other company in the world has the combination of the range of craft, the experience, the expertise and the low pricing structure of Griffon Hovercraft Limited. Griffons, the world's most cost-effective, high-speed, amphibious hovercraft.